What's up guys, Drew here. Welcome back to Starting Out Solitary. It's week 241. And this week we are discussing book recommendations, either fiction, nonfiction, whatever, that it's related to paganism, magic, that kind of thing. My interests are varied widely. So this video could get kind of long. I'll try to get through it quickly. Where do I even start? Okay, for me, I'm going to start in sort of the shamanic zone because that's where my path started. I love this book right here. Oh, there's a glare. Shapeshifters, Shaman Women in Contemporary Society. Michelle Jamal is the woman who put this together, the author essentially. But really it's a bunch of short like essays, whatever, women talking about their own path and important things that have a mystical, magical lean. There's a practitioner in here who's maybe voodoo or hoodoo. Starhawk is in here. There's women who are purely more on a shamanic. There's women who are psychologists but have these profound altered states of consciousness experiences and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It's just really interesting. It's not really educational per se, but they're just really short stories from several different women. I don't even know, 10, 12, 20. I don't know how many are in here, but I really love this book. I love this book. A Call to Power, The Grandmothers Speak by Sharon Mickerlane. That's how I'm reading that. Here we go. At any rate, this woman, this is her experience of meeting who she refers to as the grandmothers. And it's like this council of spiritual beings that led her through some very powerful spiritual transformations. There's a lot in here that can teach you about journeying and things of that nature. It's just a good book. It's an easy read. Both of those are easy reads. So this is the second book I ever got my hands on with regards to shamanic practices or healing or what have you. It is the Book of Shamanic Healing by Kristen Madden. I really like her. There are probably better books on the market. I know there are books by sort of Native American or Celtic. I have some of those as well, but this book was kind of a lifesaver for me. This book was very validating. There are things in this book that I had experienced and didn't have any reference for. I didn't know what it was. And she broke it down in the book and explained to me what had happened to me, what that was. It was very powerful for me. I was very happy to have this book, and I really love this book. Cosmic Serpent, DNA and the Origin of Knowledge, by Jeremy Narby. And this is my favorite book that I personally own and have read about like shamanism and shamanic practices, and it's so good. I'm not going to give too much away, but this is like a nice little amalgamation of science and mysticism, and it's beautiful. I love every minute of it. The author is an anthropologist and goes to the Amazon and then comes back here, and there's all kinds of interesting tidbits and goodies from microbiologists, and I love it. I love where science and spirit meet. It's one of my favorite places. And then I have these two books on animal medicine, on spirit animal medicine type deal. Everybody's probably heard of this, Animal Speak by Ted Andrews. This I feel is a really good resource. You see an animal and you feel like it had a message and you can quickly reference what that was. I also really love and actually prefer this book. It's medicine cards and there's actually a deck of cards that comes with it. A lot of you might recognize it as well, and these are the cards. I don't actually use the cards. I don't like them. They are not my aesthetic at all, but I love the book. This book, I believe, it's a collaboration between two people, if I'm not mistaken, Jamie Sams and David Carson, and they actually took their information from multiple Native American tribes. It doesn't have all the animals that are in this book because some of these animals don't even exist in North America, but I like these two resources for that kind of thing. These aren't particularly, they're not specifically witchcraft, but this lady that wrote them, she had to be a witch. I don't know if she's still alive. Definitely a pagan lean. She is so happy to point out the hypocrisy and inconsistencies of Christianity. I can tell you that much. But this is the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara Walker. And it's huge. I love this book. I love the other one too. But it's just an encyclopedia. Like here we have hexagram, and she's going to talk about hexagram. And you have Gnosticism. She talks about that. You've got the devil. She's got a big write-up about the devil, and covenant, and bull, and birds, and motherhood, and Merlin, marriage, Judas, Isis. There's just so much stuff in here. And then there's this other one. It's by her as well. The Women's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects. And it says the women's because she's definitely a feminist. Definitely a feminist. But I still love them. Like, I don't know, like little blurbs about different symbols. All kinds of, like, the caduceus, the ark, the yoni sign, fingers, bones, different mythological creatures, and nymph, and giant, and dryad, and fairy, and angel, and, all the different kinds of crosses, and the cauldron, and like whatever you can think of, just about, it's going to be in here. Love those books. I love Anne Mora. So basically anything by Anne Mora is good to me. I especially love the grimoire for the Green Witch. You can tell this book has been used quite a bit. It is one of my go-tos, and there's basically anything you can think of in here as well. I actually use this book in conjunction with this Encyclopedia of Natural Magic by John Michael Greer and Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs for my correspondences for my herbs, because personally I like more than one source. None of them have everything in them. This one has the least, or maybe this one has the least because she's got so much else in there. I don't know. Probably. But she's still got quite a few herbs in there. And then, Scott doesn't have all of them. And they do list some different, a lot of the same, but some different properties, which I like, because then I can kind of play with it and see my experience of it. Because I believe that everyone is an energetic individual, and as is everything. So even though amethyst has specific properties, my experience of working with amethyst may vary slightly from those around me, because our energies are different and they interact differently with the crystal. So those are the three that I like to reference for like herbal stuff. I do like Scott Cunningham. I have to admit that I really like his sort of reference books the best. So, there's the herbal encyclopedia, and then we have incense oils and brews, and we have Crystal Gem and Metal Magic. Those are my three favorite books by Scott Cunningham. These next two books are books that I first read when starting my magical practice, and I haven't read them in a long time. I imagine they're probably best for beginners, but I did really enjoy them. I remember, I have fond memory, like they hold a special place in my heart. They are easy reads, but you have True Magic by Amber Kay, a beginner's guide, obviously for beginners, by Amber Kay. And Natural Witchery says, intuitive, personal, and practical magic. Includes Book of Witchery by Ellen Dugan. Dugan? And I really enjoyed starting with these two books on my path personally, because I do lean green. I'm just a witch, but I like a lot of green witchery. And the last witchcraft related book that I have at my feet is this Spellcasters book. And it's edited by Ellen Hawke and Martin White. And the authors are Martin Duffy, Anna Franklin, Poppy Palin, Morgana She-Raven, and Lee Whitehorse. And they're all talking about spellcraft from their own experience, understanding, and what have you. So you have written by 7 magical practitioners well-versed in their individual tradition and approach to the art. The essays within this guide explore how magical energies operate and manifest, with an emphasis on the responsibilities and ethical issues that are part of the magical life. The wisdom within these pages is meant to inspire and empower those new to the magical path, while offering thought-provoking and compelling commentary to experienced magicians. I really like this book. For astrology, the only astrology book you'll ever need. And this book was recommended to me by a friend of mine who is adept in astrology. Like she knows her stuff. She is not an astrologist, and she doesn't feel like, I mean, she feels like she could study for the rest of her life and not be good enough. But like, she knows more than anybody else I know about astrology. So, good book. It breaks everything down really nicely too. I really like this book. For dreams, The Element Encyclopedia of 20,000 Dreams by Teresa Cheung. Cheung. Cheung? I don't know. It's a huge book. My book broke, and so I put it in this 3-ring binder. It's huge. It's got every kind of thing, and you know, it's like a psychological, symbolic, and I love this book. I've had it forever. If you want to talk about chakras, I like the Chakra Bible for Quick Reference by, who's this one by? Patricia Mercer. But I really like Wheels of Life, Anodia Judith, PhD. It's the classic guide to the chakra system. I love this book. If you want to get more in depth with your study on chakras, this is a good one. We have The Fae, The Little People. I love this. It's the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Fairies by Anna Franklin and illustrated by Paul Mason and Helen Field. And I have to admit, I actually don't love a lot of the pictures, a lot of the imagery, but if you just want like a quick reference to every kind of little person from all over the world that you can think of in mythology, it's going to be in here. And then there is Nancy Arrowsmith's Field Guide to the Little People. I love this book. It's so cute. There's not as many as in the other one. I use it as a coloring book. I'm such a weirdo. But like, for example, I go through, because they're all black and white, all the pictures, but I go through and color them. I actually really like this book too. It's a little bit more in depth than the other, but there are less in it. If you happen to be like me and you're into sacred geometry, then The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1 and 2 by Drunvalo Melchizedek, or Melchizedek, however you say that, is going to be good ones to get. Love these books so much. If you're into crystals, and I mean into crystals, then The Big Blue Book, The Book of Stones by Robert Simmons and Naisha Asian. I'm not sure. Her name, it's one of those ones where you flip your first name backwards and that's your last name. This is the revised and updated copy. The original is dark blue. I have that one as well, but it's literally falling apart. And this does have, they do have a lot of the same crystals, but they do have crystals that the other one doesn't have, which is why I have both, other than the first one falling apart. It is a little bit of an investment. I think it costs probably around $30, but if you're into crystals and you want to know not only like what the established sort of metaphysical properties are, but you also want to know a little bit of the science behind it, this is a good resource. However, I also adore Judy Hall's Crystal Bibles. I have 3 of them. That's the third one, and here's the second one. And again, these have some in them that doesn't, though this is it's a lot less expensive for one, although this one costs $20. And it's a much shorter. You get images in both of them. You get images of what the crystals look like. But this is a much shorter write-up and a lot less information. But still very useful, particularly if you just want a little quick blurb about the crystal. If you're sort of into some of the more metaphysical stuff, like I'm talking star seeds and stuff like that, I love Barbara Hand-Clow. Anything by Barbara Hand-Clow. She's pretty awesome. So this is the Pleiadian agenda, and I've got the Mayan code and alchemy of the 9 dimensions and Cryon and yeah. If it's got anything to do with the Pleiadians, with the Pleiades and the Pleiadians, you're going to draw me in. I don't know why I have a soul connection to that, but so Barbara Marciniak is another good one for stuff on the Pleiadians. But I met her in person. I actually went to like one of her channelings and I wasn't overly impressed, if I'm honest, but I do like her work because I'm very drawn to the Pleiades. I don't know. At any rate, there's a lot more book recommendations that I could give, but those are just like Those are my favorites. Those are my quick down and dirty go-tos. This is probably the longest video I've ever filmed for starting out solitary. Thank you for hanging out if you did. And until next time, much love and gratitude.